So hello everyone, I'm Tofu, welcome back to Ewetopia, my all-sheep island, and today we're doing a build around the Nooks Cranny, and a little fishing hole area. So the first thing we've got to do is actually move the Nooks Cranny to the little space directly behind it, and then once we've done that, we'll immediately put a ramp leading up to that cliff. So let's jump on that, shall we? So as per usual, I've already done some pre-planning, and this is exactly where the Nooks Cranny is going to go, so hopefully I can get it down in the right place the first time. Just missed, but that's fine. Cool, now that I've done that, I'm also going to place down the ramp once I skip forward a day, so I'll see you in 2 seconds. So here we have our brand new staircase and the location of the shop. So annoyingly, I didn't really want to start off with obviously doing the staircase, but the shop was just in the way, and I didn't want to move the shop just to then basically move it back to where it needed to be. It just felt like a pain in the backside, honestly. And I also got into a very sorry state in which I had less than 100 bells to my name at one point. And so I have to say a massive thank you to Mumsy, just because she donated a little bit of money to the cause. So yes, thank you very much. And I am actually able to pay off that staircase. Because yeah, like I said, it was a very sorry state at one point. But there you go, obviously I'm very close to the end of this entire island, honestly. And it feels like a bit of a shame just to jump onto a treasure island to grab a buttload of money when I'm so close to finishing. That and the fact that, you know, I don't want to necessarily have to wake up at 5 or 6 in the morning to then jump onto my Switch and try and acquire all that money. But that being said, we are obviously building the small area around the Nooks Cranny right now. So we're just starting off with this right hand side here. And I've obviously put a couple of stunted trees, so like always I've made a little bit of plans, so various dots, so green dots are the trees, pink dots are the stunted trees, things like that. I'm waffling a little bit because I'm trying to find my fencing, knowing that I can't put it there because I'm a fool. Okay, getting there. So I do tend to put things in order, but I'm a little bit off script, I guess, this time, because I actually planned this area like about a week and a half in advance, and then the area up on the top of the cliff where you can see where all the dots are, I've actually done that more recently. And initially I wanted to do a little bit of the area kind of below the cliff, like down here where the stairs are. But because the shop was there, and like I said, I didn't want to move the shop to then have to move it back again, it just felt like a big pain. I was then really kind of hesitant, and I couldn't get things to work the way I wanted to. And so I ended up just building the entire cliff up the top, honestly. That's, yeah, the whole reason that kind of came about. But it's a little bit, yeah, obviously closer to completion with the whole island thing. And it's an area that I just didn't really know what to do with, so it's kind of a good thing in a way. I'm shuffling around a little bit because I'm trying to put in these shopping carts. For the most part, I'm going with my actual plan because, as I usually say, I do tend to try and put the items in order in which I want to put them down. But that doesn't always happen, so yeah. But it's relatively on track for now, but we'll see. I want this green leaf pile, yeah, just kind of covering this little corner patch here. So my little area for this courtyard, I was thinking of having just like a log table, and it's going to be a small area in which you can just sit down and have a couple of snacks that you've maybe bought at the Nooks Cranny. But it is going to be mostly surrounded by hedges, so we'll do that. Obviously wouldn't want anyone falling off these cliffs. Not that they can, but you know. Okay, fantastic. We should have a big log table somewhere, but we have, there we go. I'm just going to put down that shopping basket whilst it's in my mind. I've tried to mix up the colours of the shopping carts and then the shopping basket just to, yeah, add a little bit of variety. Right, I think I want this back here because I do have some log benches. And they're there. Cool. Ooh, I don't want it like that though. I want it to actually be on the courtyard and face the right way. Fantastic. And then we'll do the same again here. Nope, there we go. And then we'll obviously place a few things on the table itself. So I've got some carnations, and I absolutely love that as an item. I just think it makes everything seem really kind of friendly, and obviously adds a little splash of colour. But we also have a couple of food items, so there's just bread. I'm trying my best to not show it off. Try and, yeah, avoid the fanfare. I'm just going to have to pull this back a little bit so I actually have space to get around the other side. And we also have some Mum's homemade cake. Again, place the item and not show it off. And I've gone with the little carrot cake variant. I just think it's cute. Okay, so that's our little courtyard area. So now we just got this little bit on the left hand side. So firstly I'm going to put the evergreen ash. I wanted to go in this gap here, so I might have to do it from above. Fantastic. Right, we'll use my handy dandy ladder. Please ignore all the items in the top left hand corner. I probably could have got away with that without mentioning it, but it's fine. Obviously you guys know I plan things, so everything's going to be out in the rows and things, so that it's all good. Right, I want this in a particular order, and annoyingly I think I put down a tree too quickly. But I like mixing up the fencing so that you have a little bit of hedge kind of in between the country fence. I think it gives a real rustic feel. So it's not necessarily the way I wanted the first bit of fence to go, but it's fine. It doesn't actually take away anything. Obviously it still works the same as any other fence. So all good there, and I should have a wheat field to place somewhere around here. And I also have a stone stool and a duck. Obviously a decoy duck, but I love using them so much just because the different colour variations that you have. And they look just so good, don't they? Ah, such a good boy. Right, and the wheat field will obviously just go in front and hide them a little bit. So that's the immediate area around the Nooks Cranny done. So obviously we've got this little courtyard area, and then we've got the path that leads up to this ramp and up to Frita's orange orchard that I did in a previous video. But now we're going to move on to the upper cliff, so I'm obviously going to grab a load of furniture, grab a load of trees and things, and I'll see you in 2 seconds. Okay, so I'm back. I haven't necessarily filled my inventory. I do have a little bit of space, but I'm going to do this small area basically just directly behind the Nooks Cranny to start with, and then I'll move on to all of this area with the path down here, just so that I don't confuse myself and don't give myself too much to try and mentally juggle at this time. But first thing we're going to do is add a little bit of fencing. I swear a lot of this recording time is just going to be me picking up trees and things like that, but you know, that's part of the process, so at least I can cut it out when it comes to the editing side. But I want this area to be pretty busy, not really an area that you should be able to access. I mean, the players will probably be able to do it, but I don't want the various villagers to actually get to this section. So it's mostly going to be just trees and very densely populated with trees and bushes and things like that. So I am using just a random selection of trees, so there's no real rhyme or reason, but I do like mixing it up with obviously the cedars, the hardwoods, and then the cherry trees, with cherries being my natural fruit. I want, I guess, this medium young cherry. That was confusing me a little bit, because I thought it was just a hardwood, and so I saw 2 cherries next to each other, and yeah, very easy to confuse me. But there we go. So there's going to be plenty of little colours, like splashes of colour even, So I'm going to have a few flowers dotted around. Obviously I've just planted down the orange pumpkins as well. And plenty of items that again just help to block off this area and make it feel like it's a really busy section. But also, yeah, adding enough variation and variety as far as colour and the actual items used. I should have a mossy rock somewhere. Cool, and I'll just spin that around. Right, I have the Schiflera. I never know how to pronounce that, so I'm certain I'm getting that wrong, like somehow. But you know, when I've only seen the word written down, what can you do? Frankly. Right, I would like a single weed here. You're not necessarily going to see it, but I'm going to have a wheat field directly behind it. That should stop it from spreading. Obviously we've got this little tree here, so that'll stop it there. I need to put down a invisible code on the floor there so it doesn't go that way. And then I'm going to have a mushroom log directly behind the wheat field. And obviously we've got a few more trees to dot around, so let's do that. So I'm pretty excited with the fact that we're nearly finished on this island. I think there's one more big build really to do, and that's going to be a little neighbourhood for the remaining sheep to live. And then I've got to do the home interiors for all the obviously residents of the island. I do need to make sure that Rudy has been replaced and that I can actually get an entire sheep island. So that's one of my big challenges that's still left to do. It's going to be a little bit sad, but at the same time, I'm not too upset with the fact that Rudy will have to leave because he is on my other island, my rainbow themed island. So, yeah, it's all good. Right, I did obviously want this to be stunted, so I'm going to have to put down the nursery pear. Which means I am having to put down this item, being log stakes, in a position that I didn't necessarily want it to be, because I wanted it a lot further back. But, you know, that's fine. I didn't take into account the fact that we were going to stunt the tree, which is very silly of me, but these things happen. I guess I want those bits of fence a little bit closer in, so I want it like there to block off the log and then this tree here. And then we've got a single mushroom, mush lamp even. Wow, that was hard for me to say for some reason, but okay. And I've gone with the red variant. I don't really use it that often, but yeah, it's very cool. Just a looking mushroom. Again, adds another little splash of colour. And then we've got this single tree here. So let's throw that down. And then we've got one here, right next to the ramp. And obviously that's my inventory pretty much emptied, so now I'm going to go and gather the remaining bits of furniture and trees and things. I probably have to do it in 2 trips because there is quite a lot of bits of furniture and things and flowers, as you can probably see on the left hand side. And that's not taking into account all of the trees, which are all these dots here. So I'll gather that and I'll see you in 2 seconds. Okay, so we're back yet again, and to be honest, for the most part, I've picked up everything but trees, and so I'm going to try and put down as many items as I can and then put the trees in pretty much last. And the only reason for this is just because I can grab a load more furniture than I thought I could, honestly. And we're going to try... It's going to be a lot of mixing between tools and fences and things, because I do have a lot of different fence variations. But yeah, I like doing that. I think it gives it a lot more of a rustic and cottagecore feel. But here we can see, obviously, we've got some kind of little roundabout going on, and I thought this would be the perfect place to put an outdoor bath. It also adds a really nice sound, which I love. I just love flowing water. It's just really relaxing to me. I think I've mentioned it before, but yeah, that's definitely something I find super relaxing, is if I can find any kind of flowing water when I've been on my travels and things. Anything like a waterfall is just fantastic. You just sit there, listen to the water flowing, and I could do that for hours. But yeah, we're going to put down another wheat field just in front of it though. Obviously, anyone who's accustomed with my videos knows how much I love a good wheat field or two. And just this little squeaky boy. There's no real reason as to why I chose him over any other gyroid. I just think he's cute. And look at him, he's just a happy chappy. Anyway, moving on and not getting too distracted by the gyroid, we have a party plane arch, which I'm just going to push as close to the entrance ramp as possible. But we are going to make it so that you can actually run through it and not get stuck. And there'll be another tree here, just almost creating a little bit of an archway as you walk up this area. Right, obviously this is for a stunted tree, so we're going to put down a few bits of fencing, kind of close by, but actually leaving a bit of a space so that I can stunt that tree. And again, we're going to mix up the fences because I love doing that. And another item I absolutely love are these evergreen ashes, wherever they are. There we go. Apart from the fact that it's just a really nicely designed item, I love the fact that it obviously gives a little bit more variation to the trees as well. So different shape, different colour. Obviously they come with this really nice base and they work fantastically if you're doing any kind of city core build. But yeah, the wheat fields, just superb. They've done a really good job with just all the item designing of this game, in my opinion anyway. So I'm having to go a little bit off script just because of all the fencing kind of combining into their various groups and things. So hopefully I won't get too confused and yeah, lose my trail of thought. But for the most part I am working with reference photos, so I do obviously build everything. I take it all down after taking photos and I've got it on my phone in front of my desk while I'm doing the recording. So hopefully it won't go too wrong. He says with some degree of confidence, but we will have to see. So I want a deer scare, again I think that makes sense near the flowing water, so another little noise, especially with this little boy just going crazy and doing his thing. I just kind of always associate gyroids with boys. I'll just say like this boy, this little guy. But yeah, obviously they don't really have genders, so. Anyway, let's move on before I waffle on about random things like that. I'm going to place down this purple mum. And I think I've got another weed placement here. Pretty cool. Trying to work out, obviously, with the fact that I haven't put the trees in is a little bit confusing, but I can work around it. It's fine. So, more fencing, a little bit of stone. I think the stone is probably one of the more rustic fencing you can get, but I don't use it too much on this island. For the most part, I tend to use the hedges and the country fencing. Right. We have another weed around here, and I'm going to put down the green mum right next to this pergola. And for the most part, a lot of the trees are going to kind of block off the cliffs and things. So, like I've mentioned before, I don't think the villagers definitely don't have the pathing to fall off the cliffs. But you would have fencing and things to actually stop people from just, you know, jumping off to their doom in a real life scenario. So I try and imitate that a little bit. Right, I want a wheat field roughly around here. But I've got a load of stuff that I didn't realise was there. So that's cool. Even when I plan things, it goes kind of a little bit off script. But you know, that's how you know it's an authentic tofu build. So, we've got a rock here, we've then got some log stakes, and nope, I wanted that directly behind the rock. Cool. And I have an artisanal bug cage, which again, I think is such a fantastic item. I haven't used it very much on this island, but I think it really works with any kind of cottage or natural, or cottagecore or natural build. Like, it worked fantastically for the jungle island that I had, which was my first recorded island. Anyway, moving on still, we obviously have this green leaf pile, so that's going to go behind this tree, so it'll probably be blocked off for the most part, but we all know it's there, it's fine. Single mushroom, going to drop it, not eat it. Cool. And I haven't used too many of these topiaries, but I kind of like it. Again, just adds a little bit of height, a little bit of difference in colour compared to the trees and bushes and things. And then, I think our last weed will be around about here. So I do need to go down and actually grab that weed before that spreads, but I can do that a little bit later. We're going to have a little bit more fencing. So we're using this bamboo slat fencing. And I think I want that a little bit closer. I am actually going to just get my shovel out. So I want it there. So I'm actually going to put my little stunted tree, I guess, here. Because I want the fencing close to that, where will be the stunted tree as possible. Fantastic. So just sections off this little area right in front of what will be the fishing pond. And then obviously we'll have a tree here. I'm going to need a space for a bush here. Do I have a bush on me? I do not, but that's not a problem. So let's just kick that away, because if I put down a flower, that will try and go into that hole. But I'll put a little hole here now to remind me that a bush needs to go here before I put the tree. Okay. Log chair, because obviously if we've got a fishing area, then you need a good place to sit down whilst you're fishing. And that's obviously why we've got our little fishing rod here as well. So I'm actually just going to drop this for now. So I'm not going to place it, because then that obviously obstructs this area and it makes it a pain just to put down this tree and eventually what will be the bush. But then we have obviously a few little other items, so the purple mum, and then we have a few bits of fencing that will go down this left hand side here. So let's quickly do that. I pressed the wrong button. Forgetting how to talk, I'm sorry. Okay. Butter is delicious though, so forgive me. Right, then we do Mumsy's favourite trick of obviously putting this in between the country fencing, because I think it looks amazing, and it never really occurred to me to do that until Mumsy started doing it on her builds, and then I just realised how good of an idea it was, so I had to steal it naturally. As you do. Cool, and now I'm going to have a space for another bush around about here. And then we're going to put another item roughly around here. Do I actually have it on me? I do not, so that's fine. So, that's, for the most part, the items down. So I'm going to have to gather all the trees and the remaining bushes and a little bit of furniture for this upper area. I'm also going to have to get rid of this, because that will be a pain. So I'm going to obviously grab all that, and I'll see you in 2 seconds. Okay, so I am back. And I did have my shovel explode at the very last tree that I picked up, which is a bit of a bummer, but I had a spare, so it's not the absolute worst thing to happen. So obviously we're placing down the trees and the remaining furniture. This is going to be a stunted tree, so let's put down the nursery tree first before I block myself in. And then we'll put down, I guess, just the first one that's next to it, so this medium young hardwood. Cool, very cute. And there is no rhyme or reason how I'm doing the trees. I didn't really put down the trees when I was doing the planning, so they're just gonna go how I kind of want them to in the moment. So, another stunted tree. I pressed the wrong button, but that's fine. probably expect that by this moment in time. Let's put down the little medium cedar. So I did actually miss out a little bit of hedge which I would like to place down around here, so I guess I'll do that just quickly while it's on my mind. So there will be a gap, I guess, because of this weed. I could pick it up, but we'll just do this. And again, like I said earlier, it just stops anyone from walking off the cliff and really hurting themselves. But we've got another stunted tree. So this is just basically me placing down trees for the most part until we get around to the fishing hole again. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do, but okay. Annoyingly, I did eat an extra fruit, which I didn't need, so that's where that's come about. But yeah, not the end of the world. But I'm pretty excited for the completion of this island. Like, it's been a lot of fun. Obviously, just I've got to manage to collect basically all of the sheep. Bar Rudy, obviously, who is my boy, and I love him to bits. We are going to have to sadly replace him at some point, like I said, but it's not the worst because I've got him on a different island. And recently we did actually acquire his amiibo card, so yeah, that makes it a little bit less painful. I'm not actually sure that that bug cage is going to fit in that space, so I'm going to just plonk down all these trees now. Let's place down a cherry tree, just for good measure. We'll place the hardwood there. Hardwood, I said. I'm getting distracted. And then I'm going to place a seed tree here. And the reason that dot was blue was because I have the intention of chopping it down and then leaving the stump. So I don't actually have my axe on me, which is a bit of a pain. But that's fine. So that's not... doesn't look like that's going to go in that space, does it? The artisanal bug cage. Oh, you know what it does? It goes sideways. Okay. To be honest, that's not the worst either, is it? It's still, you still know what it is. So that's fine. So I'm going to put a bush around here. So let's go with one of the holly bushes. Okay, cool. Let's obviously put down these things here. So I guess we'll go with another holly bush. I do love the darkness of the holly bushes. I think it's just really nice. And my Joy-Cons died. Okay, we're back. I don't know why it does that. It only seems to do that when I'm recording as well. It's really weird. But luckily it's not too big of an issue. Okay, now that I've put the tree there, we can obviously pick that back up and actually place the fishing rod down. And I want it a little bit further away, just so you can actually see it. I suppose it doesn't look so bad when it's like that. So this is obviously where you sit down, you can fish to your heart's content, and there will be a little similar area on this side as well. But let's just place down a few more trees first. I guess this can be one of the cherry trees if I have any. I don't. Okay. Not a problem. Again, I'm going to put down the nursery tree first. Do I want a large? They're both large. Okay. I wasn't sure if one was medium, so... But yeah, I'm forgetting what I've actually picked up when it comes to the trees. Okay, let's move on to this little section here. So, first thing I'm going to do, put down a bush. Let's go with the yellow hibiscus bush. And I do have another mushroom lamp, which I'm going to put down here. I've gone with the little green variant, which I'm going to turn off. Hopefully the villagers leave it alone, because I prefer it when it's in this kind of beigey brown kind of colour. Obviously the green's very nice when you're trying to do like a fairy core build, but it's a little bit obnoxious when it's meant to be like cottagecore or farm core or anything like that. Okay, so again, I'm going to go with this particular bush because it's going to be a pain to do anything other than that. This weed shouldn't actually be here, so I'm going to pick that up. We're trying to do the more tricky things that I will find very difficult if I don't do them first, so we're going to go with that green mum, this cypress plant. Okay, then I want the stunted tree, and obviously the nursery will go behind it, I think. So let's do again the nursery first. And then place down the stunted tree. Cool. Then we're going to go back up to where is my original order, and we're going to put down the bamboo slat fencing, because again, once I put down that tree, that's going to be really awkward to get into that space. But before I do that, I'm going to put down my trusty log bench, which I love oh so much. It's just one of my favourite items when it comes to cottagecore or making things look rustic. Obviously a fishing stand, a bit more professional kind of setup compared to this just lone fishing rod. But now we're going to put down the tree. I'm glad that I actually remember the tool ring as well. That's, yeah, another classic Tofu move where I just forget it exists. Cool, so it's very covered. We've got this purple mum plant, looking very colourful. I could put down that single weed just in front, actually. Why not? And then I'll just put down another transparent code so that it can't spread to the left. Not that it's got very far to go, but, you know, it all helps. And I've got one single bush, which I guess can go there, because why not? For some reason I've picked up an extra bush. I'm sure that was meant to be for something else, but, you know, that's fine. I've got plenty of bushes. I could put another thing here, actually. But maybe I'll do that off camera, because I do need to grab my axe and obviously chop down this tree, like I said, to make it a stump. But then we are all done. And so guys, that concludes the build really. So here we have obviously the Nooks Cranny in its permanent new place with its little courtyard with its various snacks and things. Obviously we've got the happy little duck overlooking the ocean. We've got our shopping cart and basket just to the right hand side of the shop, and obviously one of the twins that uses the bike to get around the island. Like I mentioned before, the path leads up to the orange orchard from Feta, and then we got up here and it's a little relaxation area next to the flowing water of the outdoor bath. I wanted everything to feel very natural, very cozy, so plenty of trees, plenty of bushes, flowers and things, lots of splashes of colour as well. And then you walk around the cliff and you've got this little fishing area next to the pond, and obviously the same thing around here. And personally speaking, I thought it was a very just cool way to use up this space, because it is a no terraforming island, and the biggest challenge for me are these long thin bits of land, because just I don't know what to do with them. Obviously if I'm doing a no terraforming island, I can't just break it down and rearrange it how I'd like. So it's been a fun challenge, but hopefully you enjoyed everything that I've done today. If you did enjoy, please hit like and consider subscribing if you haven't done already. Hopefully you join me in the next couple of videos. And yeah, we're getting ever so close to finishing this island now. As far as the remainder of what needs to be designed, it's just this little area here. So obviously we've got the houses, we've got Wendy exercising. Also, don't mind my flowers and trees and bushes. I'm running out of space to put it. So I do like to plan things, and so I need plenty of bushes and things. But yeah, we're getting ever so close to finishing this island, and I'm really excited for it. Hopefully you guys are as well. But enough waffling now. I want to say a massive thank you. Hope to see you in the next video, and until next time, have a good one. Cheers guys!